Thanks, Goose. Okay, guys, start your engines because it's time to go for a drive.
Vroom vroom! A PlayStation 4 exclusive, Driveclub is designed to bring the social aspect of racing to the forefront and leans heavily towards being an arcade racer. The power of each car is modelled fairly accurately, but the physics and handling are not very realistic. It's not as arcadey as, say, the last few Need for Speed games, but it's a far cry from the simulations of Gran Turismo or Forza.
Yeah, Darren, I think they hit a pretty good middle ground. The cars are fun to drive, and there's a great sense of speed. And the developers have said that they made it a bit unrealistic so it would be accessible to a wide range of skill levels, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, but I wonder how accessible it really is, though. For example, there's no racing line. And almost every halfway realistic racing game we've played recently has had a racing line to let you know when to brake and where to turn. And, you know, I always brake too late, so those racing lines are a lifesaver for me.
Yes, and after playing Forza Horizon 2 recently, which was excellent, I've just become so used to that rewind feature, so not having it is pretty frustrating. Especially when you spin out right at the end of a race and have to restart the whole thing, rather than just being able to rewind a few seconds.
In the campaign, you compete in a series of races and tournaments, with each race offering a set of potential stars you can earn for completing various objectives. And to progress, you need to reach a specific number of stars to unlock the next set of races.
I thought it was a bit dull. I mean, you're just moving from one event to the next, ticking off objectives, and I eventually reached a point where getting enough stars became more frustrating than fun. Also, I'm not a fan of those drift events. I just always end up spinning out and in a ditch, which is definitely not fun.
I also think that racing games have moved on from this old kind of formula where you start with the slow hatchbacks and those early cars and it takes a while before you unlock the super fast ones. I just don't want to spend hours with boring cars anymore before I get to the good stuff.
Car models are excellent and highly detailed, and the lighting can be impressive at times.
Yeah, under the right conditions, it almost looks photorealistic. And I thought some of those mountainous tracks looked spectacular. Oh, but did you notice those jaggies, Darren?
Affirmative. Jaggies are also known as aliasing, and they're that sort of sawtooth effect you see on objects, and it can really bring down the overall presentation. Also, while the lighting can at times be impressive, under other conditions it can also feel quite flat and dull.
It is important to note that there is a patch coming which will bring dynamic rain and snow to the game, but sadly it wasn't here at the time of review.
But what did you think of the face-off challenges?
I wanted to like them, Hex, but I could take or leave them, to be honest. Basically, during races, there are little mini challenges where you try to beat a score set by someone else, doing things like trying to stay on a particular racing line or reaching a certain average speed. And if you win, you get a bit of extra XP.
Yeah, they're not exactly the most exciting tasks to complete though, are they? I mean, I ended up just not taking notice of them in the end.
I also thought that the collisions and corner penalties were a bit harsh. Basically, if you hit another car or wall too hard or slightly cut a corner, you get your speed limited for a few seconds, depending on how serious it was. This game just kept punishing me rather than letting me revel in the kind of chaotic racing that I enjoy.
I did really like the AI though. They're a lively bunch that is more than happy to push and shove each other around so they feel much more like real players.
Speaking of real players, there is of course the ability to form clubs with your friends.
Drive clubs, if you will.
Affirmative. Clubs can be groups of up to 6 players, and as you each race, your experience goes towards the club, eventually unlocking specific cars. There's also the ability to compete in solo or club challenges, which involve events such as competing to set the fastest lap time or a high score in a drift challenge.
For a feature that the game is named after, I'm surprised that it didn't feel more essential to the experience. It just kind of seems like a way to unlock a few cars. But we should wrap this up, Budjo. What are you giving it?
Well, I think there is a lot to like here. The tracks are well made, the cars look beautiful, and I quite enjoyed the racing. But overall, it doesn't really inspire the passion that a racing game should, so I'm giving it 6.5.
Yeah, it seems quite by the numbers and a little bit uninspired. It is worth noting, though, that there's kind of a free-ish version available for PlayStation Plus subscribers, so it might be worth checking that out if you're thinking about getting it. But yeah, I'm giving it 6.5 as well.
All right, it's time for you two to race off to the Ask Good Game desk.
Oh, yes.
Go and talk to the viewers. Get it?